It's been 335 days in pure isolation. You've come accustomed to wearing no clothes, and your only source of food is what you win from magazine sweepstakes. The goal? To win 1 million yen in prizes from those same sweepstakes you eat from. Only then will you get to leave the four walls of this claustrophobic apartment in Japan. And you don't know if you're close to getting out, or merely halfway there. This is Nasubi. For the past 11 months, an average of 17 million people tuned into every episode just to watch his downward spiral into insanity. And when they wanted more, they tuned in to the 24/7 livestream. But to fully grasp the extent of Nasubi's torture, we need to go back to the beginning of his journey, in the year 1998. A starving comedian, Tamaki Hamatsu, won the opportunity to partake in a TV show called A Life of Prizes. At the time, he considered this to be his big break, but that would end up being an understatement. Hamatsu was taken to a room and told to take off all of his clothes. Looking around the room, there was nothing but a small kitchen, magazines, a table with a few important items for the challenge, and a singular pillow for Hamatsu to cover himself with, as well as rest his head at night. From this moment on, Hamatsu and everyone else around Japan would refer to him as Nasubi.
マジパンツのですか? うわ、いいんですか? 嘘。これは何のためにですか? 人は検証だけで生きていけるか?
This is where the challenge began. Win $8,000 worth of prizes through mail-in sweepstakes.
いいねじゃない。全然良くないですよ。まだ聞きたいことが山ほどあるんで。じゃあね。検証生活スタート。やだ。嘘。
恥もなくなる。
とりあえず書いていくしかねえよな。
Nasubi was ready to take on the producer's challenge, and with this newfound ambition, he got to writing. This is all he does for 6 days, with barely any breaks besides sleep. Nasubi had managed to get himself a desk job, and just like many other desk jobs, Nasubi started to get phone calls.
電話だ。当選の知らせか。
はい、Nasubiです。あ、違います。
間違い電話だった。電話だ。今度こそ当選の知らせか。
はい。
キャッチセールスだ。
そうですか。
What's strange about these calls is the fact we never see anything else like this throughout the rest of the show. Sure, we get inconveniences and teasers, but not in this medium. In fact, it's very easy to pick up on statistical anomalies throughout Nasubi's stay in this apartment. Now, it's quite a bold claim to say that the producers are interfering with the show, but after nothing has happened for 6 days, it's not a stretch to think that they got desperate for content. This is reality TV at the end of the day, and while Nasubi's experience is real, the environment and challenge he's partaking in may not be.
Hi.
誰かが来た。宅急便。
わかりました。やった。来た。第1号。いただきます。
After not eating for days, Nasubi finally wins some fiber jelly, and soon after, some rice. But there's one problem.
生ものをかじる。しかし、
これ食えねえな。
どうするナスビ。
後から温めればいいっていう方法はこれありなのかな、もしかしたらね。
ダメ元で大胆な実験に出たナスビ。そして3時間後。
でもな、どうにもなってるはずねえよな。
果たして実験の結果は？
お、ほら見て、
実験成功。
Now with a sustainable food source, Nasubi's prizes start to ramp up over the following days. In February, he won body soap, 2,000 yen in cash, and a spaghetti set. All of this is great, until you realise that all of these prizes amount to 15,000 yen, and Nasubi needs to make 1 million to complete the challenge, which at this rate would take Nasubi 5.5 years. Luckily, while millions of people were tuning in for the first episode of A Life of Prizes, Nasubi's luck was about to change.
だよー、また来ちゃったよ。じゃじゃーん。おー、みかん酒だ。
2日続けて当選か？
なんだこりゃ。
でかい。
これ。おー、マジかおい。おー、自転車だよ。
Nasubi won some orange sake and a folding bicycle back to back, giving him a form of exercise and a more efficient way of cooking his rice. But then, Nasubi would win his first item of clothing.
とみーなんて。おー、パンティー。わお。
あ、でもちょっと厳しいね。こんな
小さすぎた。
なっちゃうね、ちょっとね。
These used women's underwear would be the only piece of clothing Nasubi would win, apart from a pair of shoes, throughout the entire runtime of the show. And it's not like Nasubi wasn't entering sweepstakes to win clothes. It was one of his main priorities. So why did he never win any? Regardless, this was the last of Nasubi's concerns, since the audience was about to see just how lonely he had become.
はい。
はい。
生まれて。ナスビのお友達でビーナス。ビーナス。
ビーナス
ナスビ、ビーナス連れて初めてのお散歩。
お散歩しましょうね。
By the end of March, Nasubi was still 910,000 yen away from completing his goal. April started off strong. Nasubi won a vacuum cleaner, meaning he could finally clean up the floor he had slept on and eaten on for the past 3 months. The following weeks were just as generous: fresh tomatoes, a TV, but by far the biggest prize was a... Sure, the TV put a big dent in the money side of things, but after not brushing his teeth for over 90 days, it's safe to say Nasubi was relieved. At the beginning of May, a doctor came and checked up on Nasubi's health. After the blood reports came back, everything looked good. Despite Nasubi's unhealthy lifestyle, his tests were completely normal, at least physically. But mentally, it was clear Nasubi's sanity was starting to fade day by day.
あと1回分だな。今日で最後か。これが最後のお米です。最後か。
ナスビにとって1日1回だけの楽しみだったご飯ディナー。その唯一の楽しみが今日でなくなってしまう。
Months after winning that 5 kilograms of rice, Nasubi was on his last portion, so he would have to starve until he won his next meal. Unfortunately, he wouldn't have to starve for long.
やりましたというか、やっちゃいましたというか、はい、ドッグフードです。
勘弁してよ。
ドッグフードでーす。俺を犬にしたいのかよ。俺は犬か。
Nasubi won back-to-back dog food, coincidentally, as soon as he ran out of rice. So, for the foreseeable days, Nasubi would have no choice but to eat like a canine. Finally, after a few days, Nasubi won some natto, which lasted 12 hours.
再びドッグフードに戻る。
After a couple more days of dog food, he won jelly,
こんな風な感じで当たりました。
which lasted 12 hours.
すべていただいてしまいました。思いは米に募るばかり。
This was the hardest challenge Nasubi had faced so far, but eventually, after weeks of surviving on dry bags of dog food, Nasubi got a knock on the door.
はいはいはい。何が入ってるというのこの重さは一体。嘘。マジで？神よ、我に生きる力を与えきり。米です。じゃんじゃんじゃん。米です。コシヒカリです。しかも今度は10キロ10キロ10キロです。米がもう言葉になりません。米はだって
米当選になすび感動の涙。
人間が
At this point, the show is really starting to pick up steam. It was one of the biggest shows in Japan, if not the biggest, so it's no surprise that people found out where Nasubi was staying. This caused the producers many problems, but they had a pretty easy fix.
終わりですか？100万いったんですか？いってない。ああ、外の空気だ。5ヶ月ぶりに吸った外の空気。
なすびが連れてこられたのは？
していいよ。いいですか？これはまあ全部揃ってるというか、引っ越しっていうことなんですか？米がない。
なすびピンチ。
米あったよな。あれ夢？幻？
ごめんごめん。
はあ。びっくりしましたよ。勘弁してくださいよ。お金忘れてもいいから米忘れちゃダメですよ。
They had moved Nasubi to an identical apartment to continue the challenge. Unwilling to tell Nasubi the truth, they claimed it was for renewed luck. His new apartment seemed to be working. No one knew where he was, and Nasubi was almost at the halfway point of his challenge, now needing 550,000 yen to finally be free. And while he continued relentlessly writing sweepstakes, the producers were figuring out even more ways to exploit Nasubi. And that's when they came up with the idea of a 24/7 live stream. That's right, they had people at their PCs censoring Nasubi's apartment 24 hours a day. The worst part is, Nasubi only consented to be on a TV show, not to being live streamed 24/7 on a website. However, Nasubi remained none the wiser. 243 days, 5,840 hours, without meaningful human contact, without a proper meal, without a bed. And I think at this point, we can really see how much Nasubi has changed as a person, especially when we look back at his first week. What we don't see is all the lifeless hours that he spent writing sweepstakes, it's important to keep in mind the grueling reality that is 8 months of being in a room alone, doing absolutely nothing but writing, until you hear the knock at the door.
そしてその時がやってきた。
はい、おお、はいはいはい、今日も来ましたか。おお、来ました。白く輝く憎いアンチ気象。
その当選は
お米が当たりました。
その値段は750円ということは商品総額は100万トンで164円ということはゴール100万円到達。検証生活ここに終了。ゴールを祝いクラッカーで祝福。
100万になったってことですか。マジっすか。本当ですか。
Finally, Nasubi had ended his torture. After 335 days, Nasubi was free, and it was time for a vacation. So the producers flew him to Korea to experience life once more. Nasubi ate real food, rode roller coasters, and was finally wearing clothes. But that's not all, because the producers had one final surprise for Nasubi as a special thank you.
そこは
脱いで。人は韓国の現象だけで生きていけるか。でも今度は100万じゃないか。無理してやんなくてもいいんだよ。やらせていただきます。
335 days of torture, just to get thrown back into another apartment. The vacation, used as a reward, was merely just a way to put you back where you started. Nasubi was no longer a human being to the producers, he was a TV show. And this season, Nasubi needed to survive using Korean sweepstakes to afford a flight back to Japan. In other words, 50,000 yen. With the catch being that Nasubi does not know how to speak Korean. Despite the producers giving Nasubi the option to quit the challenge, the desperation for fame and the familiarity of what lay ahead made the decision even easier than the first time. Nasubi was close, but no cigar. Despite the language barrier, using a translator, Nasubi was managing to consistently win prizes. In fact, in just 2 months, Nasubi was already about to hit the target.
こんなにいっぱい。
バナナね。バナナと言ったらこれ。
しかしこの時ナスビの身に大変なことが起きていた。ゴール46,900円突破。検証生活 in Korea ここに終了。そうです、ナスビはゴールしていたのです。こんなに頑張ったのにエコノミークラスとはあんまりだ。 そこでビジネスクラスにランクアップということはゴールの金額もランクアップということはゴールの57,300円まであと9,500円。
But just like that, the producers moved the goalposts, and Nasubi was never informed. Weeks later, Nasubi reached the new goal of flying business class, but yet again, the goalposts were moved by the producers. Now Nasubi must win a total of 81,600 yen, almost double the original amount. Finally, after winning pork seasoning, a picture frame, a live octopus, and a fox scarf, Nasubi had enough to afford a first-class flight to Japan. The following clip I'm about to show you is possibly one of the most dystopian things I have ever watched, because Nasubi had absolutely no idea just how famous he was. Nasubi didn't even know the show was being broadcasted on TV yet, but that was all about to change. Using those same 4 walls he was tortured in for 15 months, Nasubi's journey was about to come to a climax. Nasubi had traded in immense torture for true fame, right up to the very end. He had gotten what he wished for. However, he believed he was signing up for a fair and honest challenge, but I truly believe that Nasubi's winnings were tampered with throughout the show. Although you can class some of the torture as self-inflicted, a lot of it comes down to the producer's lust for content and entertainment. Unfortunately, Nasubi suffered because of it. All for a life of prizes.
The world is turning. I hope it don't turn away. All my pictures are falling from the wall where I hung them yesterday. The world is turning. I hope it don't turn.